I put them in that pantry in this case also.
first give a huge round of applause to Stephen Fuller. So grateful he's back in our space. Stephen and his awesome wife been in Norway for how many months? 3 months. I want to check. Do you have any more phrases you wanted to play? No. Okay, so I'm going to check. Stephen is phenomenal. Many of you have requested him. He is back. Yay, I'm so excited. I'm going to give a shout out to everyone watching online. Hello. We have lots of folks out there today, or maybe later watching after they're on a hike or something. This weather is gorgeous. So first, welcome to Althea. If you haven't been here before, my name is Catherine Will. I'm the spiritual director here, and I'm really grateful to share this stage and share this space with all of you. This is an open space. This is a welcoming space. So I'm grateful that you chose to show up here on Mother's Day. You could have been in a lot of different places, probably having delicious brunch right now. So thank you for being here with us. What we like to do at the top of every service is remind folks, please turn off your cell phones and listen for a higher call. So if you've not done that, lately, a couple cell phones are going off, so I'm just trying to hone ourselves into the deeper meaning of life, to the deeper message waiting to be birthed here today. Also, we welcome new folks. If it's your first time, thank you for being here. There'll be a special acknowledgement for you later on in the service. And there are lots of ways to get involved at Althea. The person that knows all about that is our Sarma, our volunteer coordinator. Can you wave your hand, Sarma? So if you have folks, if you have any questions about how to get involved at any level, whether it's volunteering or anything you see up on the stage today, feel free to check out the Sarma afterwards. And lastly, what we love to do at Althea every single Sunday is a land acknowledgement. This is a sacred building, and it is on land that was stolen from the original caretakers. So we gratefully and graciously take a moment every single Sunday to acknowledge. So I invite you to just close your eyes and center for a second as we acknowledge the Arapaho, the Ute, and the Cheyenne peoples who walked this land, tilled the soil, shared stories, had their own Mother's Day many times. We honor their legacy, we welcome their wisdom, and we acknowledge the harm done. In deep gratitude, welcome back in summer days. All right, so welcome to this Mother's Day at Althea. We always love to start with a prayer, so I welcome our board president, Bob Barka, to lead us in our opening prayer.
Good morning. So, just a little preamble. I was thinking about Mother's Day, as I always do every year. And what came up to me for the first time in thinking about Mother's Day was the word mothering. So I went to that great metaphysical resource, Wikipedia, and looked up mothering. And it had a lot of very interesting things to say, one of which I hadn't totally thought about before was that mothering is absolutely not gender specific. Mothering has to do with equality. So I thought, okay, in my prayer today, in my opening prayer, I'm going to allow space for each of us to think about someone, or maybe more than one someone, in our lives who gave us mothering, who mothered us. It might be our birth mother, it might be a surrogate, a grandparent, an aunt, it might be an uncle, a teacher, a really good friend, a mentor. And so during the middle of the prayer, if you choose to do this, I will have a space where everyone at the same time can call out that person's name and put it out into the space this holy space that all of us are in. And so I would ask you just to say the name 3 times if you choose to do that and if you're comfortable with it. And that will be in the middle of prayer. So, thus ended the preamble. Now to the real stuff. So let's just take a moment and breathe. Breathe into this space, this sacred space, this holy instant that has never been before, will never be again, but is right here and right now. This particular group of people has never gathered together exactly like this before. So in the unity, it is also unique. And just as spirit, love, life is all there is. And so each of us is a part of this oneness, absolutely absorbed by it, but at the same time, unique, unlike any other here on this planet now or before or to come. Each of us is an individualized expression of this one that we may call spirit or God. We may call it Mother, Father. We may call it the great unknown, the first cause. And I know that each one of us is surrounded by this presence, this one, held and loved, enfolded in its arms, warmed by its spirit, its heart, guided through our intuition by this one that continuously speaks to each of us. And at the same time, this one indwells us at the very center of our being as who we are. For each one of us is divine. Each one of us is a beautiful, loving, whole expression of the one. And each one of us has been nurtured throughout our lives, has been mothered by many different people, especially at the times when we really need it. There was often someone there to offer us mothering, support, unconditional love, joy. And so now, I invite everyone here to speak the name of a person who has been a mothering force in their life. So now is the time to speak the name aloud. And all these names join together in this incredible space, this Althea home. They join together and they multiply and they continue to support us on and on, just as we can be this mothering presence for others. And so I give thanks for this time together, for remembering the mothering that is all around each one of us, and for absolutely knowing right here and right now, it is good, it is love, it is light, it is joy, it is abundance. I let it go and let it be. And so it is. Amen. Amen.
Good morning. This is the point in the service where we do the state of being, followed by the face of God. I'd like to invite Catherine up to the sign for the face of God, And please stand as you're able and join me in Althea statement. God is all, both visible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God and are ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. We are a family. You are the face of God.
I invite you to close your eyes, if you like, and contemplate these two readings. The first is from the Law of Divine Compensation by Marianne Williamson. Putting love first means knowing that the universe supports you in creating the good, the holy, and the beautiful. It means knowing that you're on the earth for a purpose, and that the purpose itself will create opportunities for its accomplishment. And from Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown. Babies don't learn to eat or poop in a toilet or walk instantly. It is slow, iterative, repeating attempts fueled by curiosity and longing. The parents know what they need to know and are learning what they need to learn. Parents don't know how to raise a child because they read all the books and went to the classes. They figure it out in the dead of night, covered in shit and tears, and finally holding a sleeping child, stunned by love.
Thank you, Barbara. And you know, parenthood is like, it is stunned by love, uncomfortably, wonderfully so. This is a complicated day. There's a lot of beautiful, exciting, joyous emotions, and for some there may be grief, or longing, or confusion, or consternation. And as a spiritual leader, it is my job to mirror back whatever's going on for you and help you make meaning. I pray I can do that today. And if you have suggestions on what you need in your own life, you are your own spiritual guru. And if you need support, I'm here. But I trust that you know what is best for you and your life and your family and your spiritual path. I just wanted to name that off the top, that I am a person who loves Mother's Day. I've always loved Mother's Day. It's always been a really beautiful day for me because I had a phenomenal mother who showed up when everyone else didn't, who made some of the best cakes I've ever had. Someone who can make me laugh on like the absolute worst day ever and annoy me on the best day ever. She is there through everything. But that's my experience, and I just want to give space and grace for what might be your experience as well. Some people might be grieving moms who aren't here. Some people might have a really not great mom, which took me a long time to realize if you have a great mom, we're all very privileged. Not everyone is that blessed, really, and I have learned that in the past few years. I know that about dads, because I'm not a great dad. But it's important to name that too, that motherhood is this thing politicized often by our culture. It must look a certain way, and feel a certain way, and if it doesn't, you're doing it wrong. And that's a lie. So I just wanted to name that in this space, to give you grace wherever you are. If you want to have joy, I am here for joy. And if you want to have grief, I'm here for grief too. I'm here for all of it. I stand with you. And whatever you're feeling, I just want to say it's not wrong. It's wonderful, right where you are. It's absolutely divine. So I know this personally today because even though I love Mother's Day, maybe it's with my mom, I'm also a mom this year. This is my very first real Mother's Day. I happen to have a 7-year-old wonderful step kiddo who's brilliant and awesome and hilarious and artistic, and they are not biologically related to me. So therefore, the courts say that I don't get to spend this day with my own kid. And so that's complicated. I don't want to take that away from anyone else, but I want to name that for me, right? So it's weird for me also to stand up here, preach about anything on Mother's Day, when I myself am feeling like, yay, I love being a mom, and oh, this is a complicated day to not have your kid with you, for reasons outside of all of our power. So I chose this topic today, if you read in your thing, it's all about sacred service. I was really thinking, what would work for all of us on a complicated emotional day? Some really exciting stuff, really complicated. Sacred service is the main lesson I learned from my mom. So when I was thinking about what to share with you, I was drawn upon my own experience, but I also wanted you to get something amazing out of this experience for yourself. This is a ritual. So it's not something separate of God, it's actually rooted in spirituality. It's rooted in growth, it's rooted in realness and truth. Sacred service has been a go-to tool for me to process God, to flow through and use Spirit in my life, and to use the principles of abundance, manifestation, of connection, of power, of oneness in my life. So I wanted to share that with you, because I don't know if you know, but my spirituality and service are intertwined. So much so I went all the way to New York, got a big fancy degree, came back here, became a minister. Why? Because under the power of service, really woven into God and utilized from that space, remembered from that space. So it's not separate, it's connected. So I pray that whatever you're doing, service-oriented in your life, you can see those connections. I'm going to invite my mom up on the stage to share a conversation with me, because we are both connected, not just in this life, through our lineage. We're going to share in a second, but this is my mom, Linda Newell. Hello. You can't applaud, you don't have to. Okay. I wanted to share a conversation with all of you because of our Utah lineage. That this space was created 100 years ago this year by women, which is very rare in any religious movement ever, if you know anything about patriarchy. So, we have a special something in our family, that my great-grandmother and my grandmother were Christian scientists. My mother raised me religious science, so I practiced mostly that, but really dabbled in a lot of Utah traditions and certainly the occult, which is very Utah. So, I thought, who would I want to have this conversation with, and why, and what could glean, this community, what could shift your life in sacred service. So, I'm going to grab a chair. You can stand, but I feel like it's more comfortable right now. Great. So, a few things you should know about my mother. I'm going to, because I have the mic right now, I can say whatever I want. But before all of this, the last few years, my mother was a senator in Colorado. So that's particularly why I invited her to speak about sacred service, because she knows it from the essence of who she is. From the core, she has sacrificed quite a bit for our family, as a mom, but also what it's like to run for office, live with a candidate, support the candidate, be the candidate, all that stuff is really complicated. I know we have interesting views on our public servants and who runs for office. But at the end of the day, they're still people. This is what one looks like. She's tinier than most of them, but this is a real elected official. And now you can really say the truth today because you're no longer in office. So, the good news. And then after seminary, or after being a senator, she went to seminary because I went and had such a good time, became a chaplain, loved it. That's it, I'm here today. So I will tell you from both of our perspectives, I actually worked at the Capitol before she did. My first career was in politics, so I want to let you all know that. You're like, why are you interviewing her? What is going on? Well, we both dabble in spirituality and really honor the service. So we just wanted to name that off the top, that I was her chief of staff the first year, and then I said, I gotta follow this call from God. I cannot ignore this anymore. I'm very unhappy in politics. So, my first question for you is, why are we talking about this? What do you think they can glean from service and spirituality? What does that look like, the intertwining of that for you?
For me, I was raised that they are inextricable, that you cannot be in service without the spirituality, and you can't have a spirituality without service. That it is a being, when you are in the presence of what I call God, or the divine, it just naturally comes out that I am service oriented, that it just comes out of me naturally. So when I also am in service, there is no separation from the sacred. Because if I'm truly coming not from the ego, but from the intention of service, then it is completely, wholly spiritual.
So it sounds like we often define our spirituality by personal growth, I think, here. And those rituals that like connect us to the divine, make the magic in our own lives, awaken that within us. How does that look for you in a service aspect? Do you have a story maybe?
The spiritual and the service.
Yeah, I mean, you often said that you would walk up to the Capitol praying, like every morning. So what does that look like, right? To do both at the same time, like the ritualistic way.
Well, there is a myth, even though it is in our Constitution as a country, there is a myth that there is separation of church and state. There isn't. You cannot separate a person's spirituality and faith from how they're voting, from how they're behaving in service, how they're behaving in the Senate. Some of my fellow colleagues, my fellow senators, I wished that I could have separated their faith from their votes, but for me, every single morning, as I would step out into the floor in the Senate chamber, walking through doors just like these actually, I asked for God to use me for the highest good of all, not for the common good, because the common good is also a myth, that the common good turns out is for the majority, it turns out it's for the dominant culture, but for the highest good of people, then that was for every single individual, no matter how minoritized they are, or marginalized, or historically oppressed they are. It's for the highest good of all. And so every single morning I would walk in the Senate chamber, and I tried to get there before other people most of the time, because for me it was a sacred place. I knew I have the privilege that most people don't have, which is to be able to raise my hand and say aye or nay, and have that impact so many lives of so many people. And so my phrase, my prayer every single morning as I entered was, use me, God, for the highest good of all.
I wonder if you could ritualize this a little bit right now. Folks wanted to close your eyes for a second and root in your own bodies. What is the highest good for all that you can serve? How do you need to serve the highest good for all? Right in this moment. hear. If folks have things, if you feel comfortable to shout them out, I'd love to hear what is coming through you as you. What is service activating you in this moment?
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love.
I have a question for your mother. In the political nature that we have nowadays, are we lacking in a moral sense, or are we lacking in political sense of compromise?
Yes, actually repeat the question because, so everybody can hear the mic. The question was, in our divided country, are we lacking in the moral sense, or are we lacking in the political divide sense? Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
And I would say both. I truly believe that we are not seeing the world through spiritual lens, through a holistic lens of seeing other people as humans and beings of the divine, that we are either commodifying or we're dehumanizing humans. That to me is completely, that lacks complete morality and humanity and spirituality. And politically, I would also say that one of the biggest problems is a lack of education about just awareness about not only our politics, but our history as a country, and why, of course, we have conflict. We were founded on conflict. It's in the fabric of who we are as a country. You can't separate our country from conflict. So how do we move through it? And for me, it's through the divine, and it's through acknowledging the divinity within all of us. The dignity.
Amen. Do other folks have things they want to name in this space publicly that they are activating the service in them? Hearing that awareness.
Doing my own healing, continuing my own healing.
Our own healing, absolutely. What I kind of heard in your response actually to that was do your own work, which I think a lot of folks do, or you would even have walked in this door and you're committed to that. There's a connection to that awareness, that the systemic is related and related, like, as you said, to the personal and the personal growth. Anyone else? Dare to declare?
I serve humans with addiction issues because they're still human beings. They deserve to be acknowledged.
I don't know if you can hear, she serves humans with addiction issues because they deserve to be acknowledged and they're still human beings. Talk about dignity. Thank you.
I was thinking about being loved and sharing that with others.
Being love and sharing that with others.
Be a better steward of the earth. And I also was
Being a better steward to the earth and those who are experiencing homelessness and addiction as well. I saw a sign today on the way here, and someone was saying that about the earth, and I thought, Mother's Day, what are they, someone was standing on the corner, like, what does their sign say? That's their service. And I didn't know what it was, and it's been really charged lately. On Mother's Day, what were they saying? And it was about the earth. And it's a beautiful time on a day that we're so anthropocentric. It's a great day to acknowledge Mama Earth, right in our midst, the creator, the sustainer of all of us. I love that. Thank you. folks do want to shout them out, go for it. I will also say though that my mother, I'll just plug this really quick, has a documentary she made because education is so important, and I know that is a core component of Althea, that we think that spiritual education is transformation societally. That is absolutely inextricably linked. And so I love that you brought up education. We do lots of courses and rituals here, and we're just committed to it. That ever personal growth is the education piece. And on the 25th of May, she will be screening her documentary here. And it's only like a half-hour documentary. But if you really are interested in how a bill becomes a law, which most people don't understand, she made a documentary some years ago when she was still in the Senate. And so we'll have a spiritual conversation about that. So that calls to you.
I'll add that in this documentary, it's not only about how the legislative process, it's also about conflict in the legislature and how we move through that. It's called The Last Bill, A Senator's Story, and literally it was my last bill of my legislative career about suicide prevention. And so it weaves in and out of the mental health desperate need that we have for mental health services in our state as well.
So that calls to you. We'll be here Wednesday the 24th, 7 p.m. It is Mother's Day, and I do think it's important to acknowledge the complexity of being a mom and being of service, and doing it, there's service in the home, service as a mother in any capacity, but then there's service beyond the home and in society. And I will say, even on my very first interview for this job, I was asked, well, how are you going to balance being a mother and a spiritual director? And I said, I hope you asked all the male candidates the same question. Yeah, it's hard. It's just as hard to be a dad who's equally present, I hope, and doing equal share of the household chores. It shouldn't fall on mothers to do all these nurturing things. Just as Bob said earlier, gender does not relate to mothering. We've been taught that by society, but it is not related to our womb. I did not give birth to my kid. I am very much his mother, just the same way as if I didn't. So I'm wondering, being a senator, being a chaplain, as you've had lots of different roles, how is that being a mom, though, and managing it, and not like in the way like, oh, it's so much to manage, but really, how do you handle that? If you talk about weaving it in, I feel like motherhood nowadays is going to be everything. So how do you stay sane and stay spiritual?
Well, I think that's a bit that I never did stay sane.
That explains a lot.
And I'm kind of proud of that, actually. I love my crazy. For me, I have not always done that well. I bought into the Kool-Aid of work, and I was taught very well by my mother, who was a codependent, to my father, who was an alcoholic. And I was taught very well that selfless service. And selfless service, it turns out, doesn't work. And actually, you're one of the people who have taught me that in my life. So what I would do for years was, I became a single mom. And as a single mom, that gets even more complicated. I'm sure that there are single moms in the room today.
Shout out to single moms, okay?
That's right.
I know where you are.
That's right. And as a single mom, I have had 6-digit income, and I've been in poverty. And I've been up and down. But I've always had this drive of, I've got to provide for my kids, I've got to keep working, and I was on a treadmill and overworking in the corporate environment, as you very well know. And then I got to the Senate, and not only did I have my kids, but then I had almost 150,000 other kids as constituents. And then I just dug deeper into that selfless service. And so I have not always handled that well. And as you very well know, our relationship got complicated on and off during that time. And what I've learned since, as a chaplain, in seminary, when I stood in a room with a person in a hospital gown, getting ready for their, 18th chemo treatment, and knowing that their life was about to end, that there's nothing more important than being in service to a man. And it taught me as a mom that my humanity really depends on your humanity, that we're intertwined as spiritual beings. And if I was ignoring that more and more on that hamster wheel, that wasn't doing anything good. It was just kind of feeding the system. But that made me realize that, I really need to be in service to self, actually, as well as to others. And that would help with my relationships.
Amen. So I'm wondering, because I often told you, can't have service with sacrifice. You really got to release that sacrificial part. Our faith teaches us that we're not here to suffer. We're not here to martyr ourselves. That's not what spirituality is. It is a relationship, like you said, with another human, another entity, another power. It's not stagnant. I'm wondering where in your life you're ready to give up sacrificing and just breathe in a service without sacrificing. Does anyone want to share what came up with them? Got a lot of accountability buddies in this room. So if there's something really tugging at your heart, something that you are really ready to name and stop sacrificing, what would that be?
I'll start.
Okay.
What just came to me was that I am willing to let go of that sacrificial lamb type of feeling that, and you all know this, if we're going out to a restaurant, oh no, I'll eat anywhere you go, or what do you want mom to eat? Oh no, I'll eat anything that you guys are thinking, or well, what do you want to do? Oh, I'll go, and that has not, that is left over from me being a single mom. There's, everybody else's needs come first. And so I want to let go of that sacrifice that, wait a second, I deserve to have boundaries, I deserve to have interests, I deserve to have flavors of the month I want, and I also deserve to have my dreams and my goals fulfilled as well. So I thank you for that teaching.
Good, you'll choose your restaurant after that. That is the core, right? We've been indoctrinated so much sometimes in motherhood or parenthood that we don't even choose. We don't even notice there's a choice on the table. We can't even see it. There is a lot of choice, right? We believe in a God that gives us an abundance, gives us every flavor on the table. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? Well, you're not going to sacrifice anymore after today? Yeah.
This isn't necessarily about what I feel like I have to sacrifice, because to me, I had a fabulous teacher many, many years ago that said, and this, I refer to this if there's something coming up, Who told you you had to suffer? Who told you you had to sacrifice? Who told you anything, basically, right? And if you reflect upon that, you realize, okay, who did tell me? And am I putting that person, that entity or whatever, on a pedestal? And if so, why? And why am I not on the same pedestal then? Right? And if we're on a pedestal, what happens when you fall? So those kinds of questions. And I just felt very fortunate to have that to reflect upon, so that I knew there was no need to be a victim, no need to suffer, no need to struggle, and figure that out.
Amen. Yes, no struggle. You don't have to. And I think what I really gathered from what you were just sharing was a reparenting. And a lot of us are here in this space today because we weren't parented the way that we really probably wanted to or needed to be. And we get a chance to do that through our spiritual growth and through our relationship with our Creator. We get to reparent ourselves the way that we were not seen and loved fully. We get a chance every single day to wake up and not sacrifice and come from a space of service just like Spirit does. The Spirit is like resentful of anything. No, Spirit just serves. That's just it. Releases that suffering. It's a choice that we get to do.
I think some of that is generational too. Our generation of me being an older woman, our generation, it was taught that you had to struggle through and you had to effort. And what New Thought taught me was, yes, you need to treat yourself to your feet, but also action doesn't have to be struggle. It doesn't have to be sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say something maybe from a slightly different perspective. My mom and dad struggled a lot when they were young. He was in school in Ohio. We lived in a GI Army barracks with, a heater in one room. The bedrooms had no heat. And my mother had to work. My father was in school and working. And I remember, I think I was in high school. And at that point, my father had a very good job, lots of money, big house. And I asked my mother, I said, how did you do that? How did you struggle all those years? Did you just think, oh, well, I'm struggling now, I'm sacrificing now, so in the future we'll have a better life? And she said, absolutely not, honey. Every year I lived was the best year of my life. I never thought of it as sacrifice or struggling. I just said, this is what we're doing right now. It has nothing to do with, oh, I can just make it through this year, these 5 years, then my husband will get a good job and we'll have money. She said every single year was absolutely beautiful. And I had never thought about that. I thought they must have really struggled. And she said it was never a struggle. It was always love and a beautiful life, no matter what we had. So I just think that's just kind of a slightly different twist, because I think sacrifice can depend on the point of view. I can choose not to say which restaurant I want to go to, for example, because I really don't care. Wherever we go, I know I'll find something good. However, if it's being forced on me, then I think it's a whole different thing. So I think there's just a lot of ways of looking at this, and it's fascinating to look at.
One of my favorite things to do when I was in poverty was to figure out how I could create the next meal from what I had in the house. And whether that was in the pantry or whether that was in the refrigerator, what was left over. And we had some of the most creative meals when I was in poverty. And yet we always made a buy somehow. If it wasn't from what was in my house, then we would get groceries from the church. So yeah, and it really did change for me that paradigm of having fun with it. And hey, this is where we are.
Thank God for Velveeta cheese.
Right, which I will never eat again in my life. But anyway, I absolutely, there's, for me, with New Thought, and it is either you can change by action, or you can change by state of mind. And so for me, it was that help was, even if we were going to be struggling financially, that we could at least step out of it.
And I pray that all of you, that if you get nothing else out of this, that sacred service is actually bold. It is a paradigm shift, and it is action-based. Service is not about thinking things and hoping it happens. It is treat and move your feet. It is pray and move forward. I love that Althea offers, actually mentioned, food banks. We have one outside right now. We host many different nonprofits who offer these services to so many folks here. Through Spirit of the Sun, through St. Francis Center, Sisters of Color. It's really amazing what we offer here too, that it is sacred, truly sacred service. That this building is a beacon for that in many ways in our Denver community. So you might not always see it on Sundays, but this place is popping at all different times for different reasons, inside and outside. There's a lot of movement here. Thank you for giving your wisdom today, for sharing it. I wanted to also share a huge thing that bonds us is music. I grew up singing. That's how I learned how to read, was karaoke. My parents, I was like, I want to know the words of the song. They said, I don't know, we gotta read it. So that's how I learned. Why to serve is a consternation moment for you. Allow God in and allow yourself to be used as a vessel for the greater yet to be.
Can I ask you one quick question before? Because
You can ask me after. We're gonna sing. It's important with ritual to stay in the fire. So it calls to you to stand. Feel free to stand. It calls you to sit. Go ahead and sit. Do what your body wants you to do. You hear a bunch of us and we can join in a few more times.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here
them can change the vibration of the space, can change the vibration of their body. I can't tell you how many times I was walking down the street singing this song, in a bathtub singing this song, whatever you need, whatever you need. These words, this wisdom, listen to your body, listen to your true north, allow it to be a vessel for the Creator to use you for the betterment of all. And to not sacrifice, okay? To root in that sacred service. Thank you. I now invite you in our time of offering to allow yourself to be used to better this planet through supporting and sustaining Althea. This center is a beacon of change. This center is a beacon of learning and growing and wonderment. Let's enter that in. Let's allow that in. Let's bring that in. Let's call it in. So I invite you. Here's our offering up here. It's everything we do. It's a ritual. So together, put your gift or tithe over your heart or your phone if you donate online. And join me in saying this. The universe provides all that I need and all that I give. With great joy, I share my prosperity, planting seeds for a world helping manifest. And so it is. Amen. Our ushers to pass. And after the service, if you want to use our dip jar in the back, you can. We really appreciate our monthly donors. Everything is magic if you make it that way, right? Everything is sacred if you see it that way. Thank you. I bless this prosperity for the betterment of this community, for the evolution of our planet, for the sacred service blossoming and sustaining and seed planting right at this very moment, for the alignment of awareness and a deep faith in abundance. Great gratitude. I know this is so, and so it is. Amen. And I lovingly invite Sue Porter back up to bless us with some more music. Thank you so much, Stephen. So glad you're back. All right, this is our time in our service where we love to honor our new folks. So if you are really lucky and this is your very first time here, we welcome you to raise your hand. We have a special acknowledgement for you on this blessed Mother's Day. Anyone new for the very first time? Awesome! Who's here for the second time? Oh my gosh, how beautiful. Well, thank you all for choosing to be here at Althea for your Mother's Day. We also have some roses for folks who want to celebrate Mother's Day for yourself. So if you are a mother on the way out, our ushers will have these beautiful roses for you. So feel free to take that as a gift to you, honoring. It's a small token, I know you did a lot, but please take this rose just as a symbol of our gratitude and awareness of your awesomeness. All right, we're going to move right to the prayers of the people, which is our chance in our service to really acknowledge what's going on in your lives, what's on your hearts, some awesome blessings you want to share, some prayers for any struggles in your life. I will say personally, this has been a very weird and difficult week. If you have a uterus, you might feel a little under attack by the highest court in our land. So I just want to name that. It's very weird to have a Mother's Day and to have such consternation in our country right now. We're in a place I never thought we would be. I'm sure a lot of you feel very similarly. So I stand with you, and if there's anything that Althea can do to support you in this emotionally or spiritually, any which way, we stand with you, we support you, we see you, your life really matters. And not only do we value choice, I will just speak for myself, I value a woman's choice all the time, every which way, any person in the uterus to do what they want. I truly want to let all of you know, I believe abortion is a holy, holy thing. It is not something that is like sad and should be away, that can happen in people's lives. But I think it's an important thing to name and honor the lives that have been touched before this was legal, and then certainly if it becomes illegal in any fashion, which it already has in many states, we will be in a lot of pain, a lot of trouble. So I stand with you as a woman, as a person, as a mother, and certainly as a citizen of this country. We all work to do, but I see you. So that's my prayer today. I would love to hear what's on your hearts, what you would like lifted up in this community. No prayers? Really? Oh, yes?
Hi, I'd like to say, if we could all give squishy love to orphans on this day, because orphans, and Mother's Day is a great way to an orphan. So all the orphans, everyone, like no matter what species or anybody, any orphan, anyway, and all the mothers and parents that can be with their babies today, let's give them like special squishy love.
Amen, Anna. Thank you so much for reading that. Thank you.
I think I'd like to honor my own mother. She was a pistol. Anyway, she was a widow with 3 kids under 5. She went on to become a Foreign Service officer, diplomatic service, and quite a role model
to hear this too. I just love stories, right? Of who brought us here to this space, who made us who we are. Are you raising your hand? Well, you can if you'd like to pray. Anyone else have anything on their hearts? We have a team of wonderful prayer partners that pray over anything that is brought up during this time all week.
I'd like to pray for that. I'd like to ask for prayers for some people that we met when we were in Norway. They were Ukrainian refugees, and lots of things are happening for them. So we got very close with that family. I'd like to have you pray for that, for our friends in Ukraine that are living in Norway. There's quite a few right now, and it's very difficult what they're going through. But they're strong people, I will say.
Thank you so much. We've been consistent in our prayer support of Ukraine, and it's really important to remember the refugees who are having to make and find homes in places they never thought. We definitely hold in our hearts and from peace everywhere.
If anyone would like a private, personal prayer after the service, you can meet in the library, and there's a room that's basically special and not in the middle of anything.
You heard it. Thank you so much. All right. Also, if public prayer does not call to you, we have online prayers, so feel free. Many people have been using that lately too. It's a great way to pray and get prayer support and not have to do it with a mic. That's okay too. We support all introverts and extroverts. We're good here. All right. So we're going to shift to a few announcements as part of prayer in the library after the service. Also, like I said in the beginning, if you would like to volunteer in any which way, you want to sing on the stage, you have an idea for our service, you would like to say the sacred being, really anything, we welcome you. And if that calls to you, please see Sarah, raise your hand, Sarah on the back, and she will sign you up for that. Also, we're still looking for support for AV so that Jason can actually take a day off. We value his well-being and holistic health. So that calls to you in any which way, you can shadow Jason basically and learn all that he does and help us out. Also, there's no deep dive today afterwards or lunch. We want you to enjoy your Mother's Day, celebrate it, go to brunch, whatever you do. But also, there will be coffee and tea and really yummy chocolate somethings. I don't know, but if you want to know, you should go to the dining hall and check it out. So there's lots of abundance there. It's really good. And like I said, just to acknowledge all the mothers in our midst, there will be roses. Well, our ushers will grab these and have them in the back for each of you, for the mothers. Also, on the back of your program, there is a gone bath in 2 weeks. We always have it the 4th Sunday of every single month, so please attend that. It's really beautiful. Sounds good, like I said, is magical. It truly is transformational, and we get it here every single month. So it calls to you to do that. Also, like I said, my mother is premiering her documentary here in a couple weeks on the 25th at 7 p.m. and we'll have more info in the newsletter next week. All right, let's do a closing prayer and a special community song today. I invite you into a space of prayer, into a space of knowing, into a womb space of birthing the sacred service within you, of knowing that you can repair yourself through anything. You made it this far, you can do anything. You are that powerful. Your mind, your heart, your spirit aligned for the betterment of you, of your loved ones, of society, of the greater unfolding that is just birthing forth in you, that is calling forth, connecting to the mother in each of us. I'm grateful for the mothers who have served in our lives, and honoring the call when it is our turn to serve and parent and love and nurture those around us, just as God does that for us. with gratitude, with abundance, with awareness, and a lot of happiness. I release this word into the law and know that it is taken care of. And so it is. Amen. All right. I don't know if you know, someone had a birthday this week. Daryl Johnson, I'm lovingly invite you up to the stage. Our theme is today's song. Huh? Okay. I would love to invite you to stage to sing happy birthday. So if you all could join me in singing happy birthday to Daryl. And then after that, Stephen Fordham has a phenomenal song for our postlude as well. So if it works for you to stand and sing, we sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daryl. Happy birthday to you.
He felt that.
Right.